My name is Sean Thomas, and I'm the author of Be More Today, a 40-day guide to a better version of you. As doctor of physical therapy, I've seen thousands of people do great things. They came to me with ailments, physical ailments, pain, issues, and they got through them, all because they decided in their mind they were going to do it. And I guarantee you, if you just trust the process and be persistent, you too can be the best version of you. Have you ever been out and about with nowhere to stash your keys and ID so you can be hands-free? Whether you're running errands, traveling, or hitting the trail, Spy Belt is the belt that goes where you go. Made with stretchable fabric and a low-profile design, Spy Belt is your perfect companion to keep your essentials secure without bouncing or chafing. Choose from several prints and colors in the original, a wider band in the Pro versions, or the newest Spy Belt, Whiteout, an all-white belt that is perfect for summer. Visit www.spybelt.com to get your Spy Belt today. Run smart, run free, run with Spy Belt. Don't let aches and pains hold you back from living your life. At Jack Physical Therapy, our experienced clinicians create a personalized treatment plan that fit each and every patient's needs uniquely. Whether it's recovering from an injury or enhancing your performance, we've got you covered. With over 150 locations throughout New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, there is sure to be a JAG Physical Therapy location near you. Visit jagpt.com and book an appointment today to get back to the life you love. That's jagpt.com, jagpt.com.
Welcome to the Be More Today show. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our show today. Now, let's hear it from our host, Dr. Sean Thomas.
What's going on, folks? Your boy again, Dr. Sean Thomas, back in the building with the Be More Today show. We are back in the building for season 6 of the Be More Today show. Folks, we are here now in the summer time, and it has been crazy being alive in 25. It's been so great this year. We've done so many things with our More merch store, still on BeMoreToday.com, with my first and now second book out there trending, Project More. For those of you who've been a part of Project More, I salute you. I appreciate you so much for doing the workouts and the 40-day challenges. You have been amazing. And we just concluded our Steps for Greatness challenge for the summer season, our third challenge for this year. Over 102 people were out there trying to get their steps in. Over 400,000 steps over 40 days. And many people succeeded. Some were even in the million steps for 40 days category, which is insane. But kudos to all of you who were part of the challenge. Thank you for being a part of it. And again, you can join us again for the fall season, which will be in September. Stay tuned for that. We got time, but stay tuned for that. I thought Be More Today is on Facebook and Instagram, BeMoreToday.show, BeMoreToday.pt, and your boy here at Dr. Sean Thomas. The show is now trending so well in 95 countries, over 74,000 downloads. So please subscribe to the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and always you can see it on YouTube as well. For those of you who want to see the visual version of the show, it is always going to be out there. Special shout out to our sponsors, Spy Belt, the best Spy Belt, the best running belt out there in the Northeast. We love Spy Belt, and Kim and her team is amazing. And of course, big shout out to my company, Jag Physical Therapy, for always giving and supporting the show. And our monthly patrons, you are amazing as always. We have a special guest on the show today, and I usually do quotes for the show, but I wanted to talk a little bit about me and my diagnosis of being pre-diabetic. I shared a couple weeks ago that I was diagnosed as being pre-diabetic, and it's in my family history. It's actually on my wife's side too, which is very interesting. And when I wrote my first book, I actually wrote it because a couple of years ago, I went to go see an MD because I was trying to get cleared for do home care, treating some patients at home, and I had to get a chest x-ray and some blood work done. And I got those things done. And in the interim of doing those things, I found out that I had a fatty liver and that I was borderline diabetic, so pre-diabetic, basically right in the middle at 6.0. And, I'm not really into junk food. I don't eat a lot of sugary things, but it was the rices and the pastas and the breads that were really getting to me, along with my history of being diabetic in my family. So I shut everything down. I went cold turkey with everything, started having my salads, getting my fiber in, drinking more water. And that really sparked the first book, The Be More Today, book that I wrote in 2019. Since then, my numbers went down and everything was fine and dandy. And I went recently to get another test done just to see what was going on and realized I was again in that middle range. So I wanted to bring someone on the show today who could really talk to us about staying consistent in terms of what we eat, even as athletes and those who are non-athletes. We get caught up in trying to do so many things to prepare for races and to do our training runs. And even though we're eating healthy, so we think, so we say, there are still ways that we can improve what we eat and how we consume our nutrients, how we consume our gels, how we consume our nutrition while we're training for races, but also while we're just training for life. And I thought, who in the world can I bring on the show today to educate us on these important things? And there's no one better in the world than my girl, Tara Mardigan. Now, Tara is a coach. She has done so many things. She's a two-time guest on the show today. One of the coaches for BedStuy Flyers, one of the best running clubs in Brooklyn. I train with them on Tuesday mornings at Boys and Girls. They are an amazing run club in Brooklyn, a great community of people who come together and just train. And they are putting out great athletes who are traveling around the world, hitting BQs and all kinds of other things around the country. So it's been a pleasure meeting her and being a part of her network. She has a book that's online that I'll have her talk about in a little bit. And her history in terms of coaching the Boston Red Sox and other sports teams has been phenomenal. She comes with a wealth of knowledge, and she's here on the show today. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets included, please welcome to the stage my friend and the coach in Brooklyn who I adore so much, Coach Tara Mardigan. T, what's going on?
How are you? Thank you for having me, Dr. Sean. I appreciate it. I always love being, on here with you and sharing your energy and just I know how much you want to connect with people and really help them out. It's just I don't know, it's just nice to be here. So thank you. And congrats on the second book. It's exciting. I know that's hard to write a book.
Yeah,
So
you know all about it. You know all about
yeah.
it. So I appreciate that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And listen, you've been doing so many great things. I've been following you and the club doing amazing things. I have my BedStuy Flyers jersey on right now because it's summertime. And
Yeah.
I just really want to give a shout out to you and the club. You guys are an amazing group of people. When I think about run clubs that are kind, run
Mhm.
clubs that are inclusive, run clubs that are inviting, in spaces that you just create and numbers increase because the love is there. I think about your crew, your club, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I am proud to rock Bedside Flyers everywhere I go, and
Nice.
I want to give you guys kudos because you guys are doing amazing things in Brooklyn, and it's just great to see it.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. It's good people bring good people. I really believe that. It's something simple, it's just I don't know, you tell somebody else about an experience that you had and then next thing you know, there's another good person there and then it just builds. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, and big shout out to
Um
Nick too because he's amazing. But you
yeah,
know,
yeah, he had a really tough workout today. He had everybody's mind. They were so, they were so occupied with the mental aspect of the workout that I think they didn't realize how, how challenging it was until they were like really deep into it. But it was a really good morning. So I just got back from it actually.
awesome, awesome. Yeah,
Yep.
and it's funny when I miss running with you guys, I usually do it on a different day, and I share it with other
Hmm.
people as well. So just know that when you guys put those things on social media on Instagram, people are showing up, but people are also doing it in other places because it's really good content. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. I know there's a few people from elsewhere, other states that will message the Bed-Stuy Flyers account and say thank you for this one. I really liked it, and I always forget, that it, the internet is everywhere, so people are accessing it, and it's kind of fun to hear from people that are doing the workouts from other places. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yep,
Listen, Coach, I have a number of questions for you. I have your book. It's actually in our kitchen right now. My wife has been peeking at it from time to time,
uh-huh.
the recipes. Can you talk to listeners about the book you wrote and just I guess, why you wrote it?
Sure. So the book is called Real Fit Kitchen. Um, actually this October is the 10th year anniversary of it, which is just hard to believe. But I wrote the book at the time I was working with, I've always worked with athletes throughout my career. I've been a dietitian now for just over 30 years, so it's been quite a while. Um, but I've always been, working with athletes in addition to the other groups that I was working with. So, for example, when I was in Boston, I was working at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, but I also was working with the Boston Red Sox. So, and worked with them for a decade. So I was there from '04 to 2014, which was, I don't know, for anybody who is, a baseball historian, they'll know that that was a really good time to be in Boston because we won 3 World Series. So, and at that time, nutrition was sort of, it was viewed as like sort of, not so it was not like really important. I think like it was viewed as sort of fringe, and my my feeling was like this is something that can really help a team perform. Like if you can improve how people are connecting with food, and not just the food they're eating, but like their relationship with food, and understanding that just because you have a really lean metabolism, the thought is, oh, well, I can eat anything because I have this type of metabolism. That's going to affect recovery. That's going to affect, not only performance but recovery. And then down the line, when no one's thinking about it, it's going to affect that blood work that you're talking about. That suddenly take a blood panel and you're pre-diabetic. Like these types of things, some of it we inherit, right? Like there's genetic component to all of this that comes into play. But I really, back to why I wrote the book, I really liked helping athletes connect with food in a very simple way. That when you eat certain foods or when you time it a certain way, you feel better, you perform better, you recover better, and then you show up for the next workout and it's better, right? So wouldn't that make sense to be what a team should work for? You're putting all this money into, contracts for players and state of the art exercise, and training equipment and adaptations. And yet nutrition was a bunch of junk. Like the players were eating really not well. So that was my approach, was to really take like a public health view and say, even though people can make individual choices, if we change collectively how the team is eating, then I think we've got a better shot. Like if we make healthier eating cool, then maybe it'll stick. And it did. Like it took, it wasn't overnight. I mean, I hit a lot of resistance. I also think like the time of when I was there was a different time in society where, this just wasn't in the forefront as much. And now it's very much in the forefront, at least in MLB, where teams have to have a registered dietitian on staff. Many of them have a few. So it's interesting to have been in the forefront of that evolution of nutrition in that specific sport. So myself and Kate Weiler, who was an intern at the time, phenomenal athlete, like really, really talented triathlete. So she and I would always come to do work together and just talk about recipes. And one of the things that frustrated us the most was that a lot of athletes at any level, whether it was elite, professional, or even amateur athletes, were sort of marketed to that they needed to have these specific sports nutrition products. And oftentimes, if you looked at the ingredients that were in these products, they were not productive to athletic performance. Like you have, kind of went with the trends. But if, for example, if you had, this product is low in sugar, so it'll help you maintain a lean body. But we were like, well, the goal is to make sure that you're getting in energy and sugar related to the workout. and this product has no, usable energy and just is sweet tasting and has a lot of artificial sweeteners that are just going to sit in the belly and cause GI distress. Why would a triathlete want that?
Mhm.
Why would a baseball player want that? And so like we really just wanted to kind of take it back to the simple notion of eating food, and that in a way that was pretty easy to prepare. Like no one needs to have any like major cooking skills, as long as you can just do some basics, then you're good. And it's really kind of putting flavors together and making things taste good. Um, so I think that's why we wrote the book.
Mhm.
And I would say it's still very much my philosophy today. Like a lot of people will ask me, like, "Oh, what's a good protein powder?" And when I go to answer that, I'll say, "Well, I kind of need to know how you're eating, and can't we get that through food?" Like
Right.
I'm always trying to help people just. You don't need to get a protein powder that's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and you don't like the taste of it, and it sits in your belly. Like, let's just bring it back to figuring out how we can get you 25 more grams of protein throughout the day. And what are the foods that you really like? And here's how we'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, it sounds
mm,
simple enough, and your book is very intuitive. I appreciate the way you wrote it, and it's very easy to understand. I think back to my college days where I was still in that same mindset of, oh, let me get my creatine, let me get my protein powder. You're so fixated on what everyone else is doing because everyone was doing it. It wasn't even like it was a one-off. Everyone was doing that consistently, no matter what sport you were playing, and a little more concentrated for other sports, but it was just the norm. So,
yeah.
to have a conversation about really getting that through actual food, I never had any nutritionists really come and talk to us more than a day or two during our seasons in college. So, having you as a resource now, in my latter years and for others, I think it's really, really beneficial. And
Mhm.
I have so many questions for you. You talking about ways to increase protein, increase things in your diet. How do we do that? We always talk about, yeah, just give some more protein. We always talk about it, but I don't think a lot of us know what that actually means or it actually looks like. So, how do you
Yeah.
actually add more protein to your diet? What are some of the ways that people can do that?
Yeah. Well, I think a good place to start is to look at like how much protein do we even need?
Mm,
Like so I mean, who says how much protein we need, right? It's the RDA, the recommended dietary allowance that is set by like a scientific governmental um, panel. And so that is the amount that we need as a minimum is zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram. And for people who are not used to rocking with kilograms, you just take your body weight and divide by 2.2. So I'll share an example. I just like calculated out so I can, you know, give an example of what that looks like. But so that's for the average sedentary American. I hate to say it, but that is not going to cut it for an athlete.
mhm,
Um, so an athlete requires a higher range of protein of 1.2 to 2.0 grams per kilogram. Um, or if you're not wanting to do the kilogram math, you can just do 0.55 to zero point 0.9 grams per pound. That's the equivalent of the same thing. Um, so, and the reason for that is because the athlete is when you're running, when you're lifting, when you're whatever sport you're in, you're doing damage to your muscles, good damage, I will arguably say. But the protein that you take in is going to help with repair and resynthesis of those muscle fibers. So if you are a high level athlete or you're hoping to be and you're just eating around that zero point 0.8 grams per kilo,
mhm.
you're never going to have you're going to really be struggling to maintain like a consistent rebuilding pattern, and what happens then is then you're more likely to injure yourself. I mean, protein has a little bit of their own too. It really a lot of people don't think of this, but it is really also tied to overall immune function. So if someone's eating a lot of other nutrients and they're doing a great job with that, but they're not getting in enough protein, again, that's going to have an effect on the overall immune response. So So we tend to think of like muscles and preventing muscle soreness and helping with that. But I do think it's also important to pay attention to how getting in all the different macronutrients can really collectively help with overall immune support. So another way to look at it. And also the transporting of oxygen throughout the blood comes from a lot of the protein-rich foods. So those foods carry what's called heme iron, the animal proteins, and that helps oxygenate our blood. So you might have heard some athletes are susceptible to anemia because they may not be getting enough of that heme iron. And that's a specific, it's not just unique to vegans and vegetarians, but they are at greater risk for that because they're not taking in the protein sources that contain that type of iron.
Right.
Back to the math, I just calculated this out because I wanted to be able to give an example. But for an athlete that's 150 pounds, that's 68 kilograms. So again, I just took 150 and divided it by 2.2. And so the protein range for the athlete that we were just talking about is anywhere between 82 and 136 grams of protein a day.
Mm.
So that's a wide range.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we used to talk about like, oh, is this an endurance athlete or is this a strength athlete or is this a, lacrosse player? Like we would put people into these like silos of what type of athlete they were.
Right.
I think it's far better to talk in terms of the type of intensity and work that you're doing each day. So every athlete, if they're doing it right, does not work out with high intensity every single day of the week. There's going to be days that are super high intensity. There's going to be days that are moderate and some days that are low or completely off. And so that's where that range comes in handy is the days that you're doing more, you need more. Right. And the days that you're doing less, you probably, you don't need as much. So I like to think in terms of that when I'm working with athletes, because it's really, it makes sense. It doesn't, we're not saying, oh, you're an endurance athlete, so you don't need as much protein. So no more of that. That's sort of by the wayside. I think that's older advice. So.
Yeah. No, I understand that. That makes sense. Thank you for breaking that down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right, talking about those who maybe meat eaters and those who are vegetarian or vegan, protein looks very, very different. We're talking about a lot of meats for those who are going to be, carnivores, but then for those who are vegetarians, even pescatarians, right? Where are we getting their proteins from? I know we talk about beans and other things, and that's like always like get your beans in, and people like on that. But even when it comes to being creative, when it comes to getting more protein in, it just can't be those things all the time. So, what are some tips for those who are trying to find practical ways to increase their protein intake? What are they actually eating? What are they taking from to, I guess, keep the consistency of getting protein into their regular diet?
Right. So for the plant-based sources of protein, I mean, you named one that right off the bat, I always tell people if you're not adding beans to things, then you're missing out. Because the nice thing about plant-based proteins is that you're also getting a lot of other micronutrients too. Like you get a lot of vitamins and minerals with these plant-based proteins.
Yeah.
Tofu, edamame, even some of the grains like quinoa, just farro. I mean, there are some of the grains that are that are not animal sources that do have a decent amount of protein in them. That didn't sound right because grains aren't animal based, but you know what I mean. Also sprouted breads. So you may have heard of like Ezekiel bread. That's a decent way to get in protein for a plant-based eater. If you have a sandwich and you've got it on that bread versus just a regular bread, you're going to have close to 10 grams of protein, for some types of bread. I would say that also chia seeds. I think another way to approach it is what can you add to what you're already doing? And for example, if someone's having a soup or a salad, they could add a couple of spoonfuls of hemp hearts, which I think it's 3 tablespoons is 10 grams of protein. So if you did that, if you maybe not all in one time, but if you did it at like a spoonful at each meal,
Right.
if you put it on salad or if you put it onto your sandwich or something, that's a way to kind of sneak it in. And they're delicious. They have like a really nice nutty flavor to them. Nut butter. So if, someone's having a bunch of crackers for a snack, put peanut butter on it, put nut butter on it, or even a piece of fruit, add some nut butter to it. What else do we have? Edamame, tempeh. Like, I think we've hit most of them, right? We've hit a lot of them, but I do like the sort of sneak in method. So take
Mm.
what you're doing and what seems to be working well for you, and then maybe just enhance it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, that's
hmm
great. And I think I've tried doing that myself. I need to be a little more creative in getting the um adding to, right? Because that's
hmm
very caught in saying, well, I already have this, so it's fine, but you can always enhance, you can always add to whatever you're putting out there. And I
yeah,
think the variety of seeds is something that many of us don't really know much about. We always talk about the same go-tos. But there's
yeah.
often you just name that I'm sure many people have not tried. And Ezekiel bread, I know very, very well because
Ezekiel bread. Yep.
I've done
Yep.
a number of challenges. We call them Daniel's diet, where we basically take 10 days
Uh-huh.
and kind of just go taking out anything that's pre-processed and doing a lot of grains and oats and nuts. And Ezekiel bread is one of the breads that we're
Yeah.
eating for 10 days. So
Yep.
I'm not the biggest fan
What
of it,
about no,
but
I know. It's a little bit like I don't know. It's to me it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, let's just focus on what's in the sandwich and
yeah,
then
it's tough.
um but yeah, I mean it has a different taste. I think that's part of it too, is just wrapping your mind around the fact that some of this stuff tastes different, and
Yeah,
there is an adjustment for a while.
yeah.
Another example, like have you ever had nutritional yeast?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So nutritional yeast on most things is really not tasty, but if you put it on popcorn,
Right.
suddenly it takes on that flavor. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, but when if somebody's not able to eat animal sources for whatever reason,
Right.
it's funny because when I work with athletes and if some of them are vegan or vegetarian, I always ask, I'm like, I'm just curious, like, why? And sometimes they're just like, I don't know, I thought I was supposed to. I'm like, no,
Mm,
there's not one better way to eat, right?
yeah.
And also if you are eating animal protein sources, try some plant-based sources too. Like
Yeah.
it's good to have variety. Back to what you were saying, I think if you tend to have peanuts every day, like try sunflower seeds, like really mix it up so that you get the variety of nutrition. So,
Right. Right. Right.
yeah,
Absolutely. I'm just mad that these things are so expensive sometimes. I know
I know.
stores like so expensive, but they're so good for you and they're so filling. So yeah, definitely a challenge.
Yeah, if you can buy, I mean, sometimes, and it may be hard to do, but sometimes buying in bulk or at like a co-op is a good way to, not afford it, but you can get a lot more bang for your buck. Like I remember when working with the minor league baseball players, a lot of times we'd have them um like share, so
Yeah, yeah,
they would go in and purchase a blender together, and then
exactly.
it would all be their blender, and the same thing with bigger bags of quinoa or
Yep.
farro or things like that, just so it's more affordable.
Yeah, why not?
um yeah, yeah, as long as you're using it, I mean, they
Exactly.
last pretty long, so
Exactly. Exactly. So listen, as I shared earlier, I'm in that middle space now, being pre-diabetic, and it's interesting because I didn't think about it for such a long time because I made the adjustments and I saw improvements. But then I think
yeah,
like everyone else, you get kind of comfortable and you kind of coast unless there's something that's actually going on, and blood sugars can fluctuate so quickly over periods of time. So now that I am well aware that I'm back in this middle range, I was told to reduce my breads, my pastas, and my rice.
uh-huh,
But as you
uh-huh,
well know, those are some of the things that we definitely eat when we're preparing for races and training, whatever else.
yeah,
So,
yep,
what are some tips on how to how to navigate that, how to pivot in this
Yeah.
not constrictive diet now, but just being able to get those same nutrients while still training for these races and doing certain things athletically.
Yeah, it's a great question. There's not an easy answer to that. What I like to say is you have to think of your carbohydrates in terms of two things, in terms of quality, and then in terms of timing as it relates to exercise. So if let's take a non-athlete first. If a non-athlete is eating a lot of pasta, bread, rice, they are going to, and if they are on the cusp of prediabetes, they are definitely going to catapult themselves into a diabetic situation far faster than someone like you who is training for marathons, who is, eating pasta because they're about to go run 18 miles tomorrow. So we still rely on carbohydrates as the primary fuel source for athletes. Like that, you can say, okay, I am now pre-diabetic. I am not going to have as much carbohydrate and I'm going to just rely on protein and fat. You're going to run out of gas.
Right.
So the way I would approach it, if I was in your situation, which actually I kind of am with some of the medicines that I've had to go on in the last few years for cardiac stuff, my hemoglobin A1C is trending up, and I'm like, I eat really well. I don't understand this. Some of it is aging, which is annoying, but that's what it is. Some of it's genetics, and it's almost like, well, this genetic component didn't present itself until a certain age, and that's absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think is frustrating, but it is what it is, and have to be aware of it. So I would approach it that the main meals that I'm eating or that you're eating, when you're having carbohydrates at those meals, see if you can make some adjustments with not always having pasta or the rice, but trying to incorporate more of the whole grains like quinoa and farro. So you're still getting carbohydrate, but you're getting more fiber. You're getting a lower glycemic carbohydrate so that you're less likely to spike your blood sugar, because that's what's causing that increase in hemoglobin A1C, is that you're most likely having these spikes and dips of your sugar. And then when you go to get the blood test, it measures it over 3 months of time. So if you're able to swap out those core carbohydrates for things that have more fiber. So like instead of relying on pasta all the time, you do quinoa, and you save the pasta for, maybe your pre-race meal where, it's, or pre or post race or something, or it's once a week instead of 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they do make some pastas now that have, they have more protein in them. Like they're different, like, there's chickpea pasta and stuff like that. Those are fine. There's one, I'm blanking on the name of it, that I found recently that also is just lower glycemic. So that, that's one strategy, but I would not avoid carbohydrates. Like I think that's what a lot of athletes tend to do. That's not the right answer, because you're going to run out of gas. That's our primary fuel source. So you still need them.
Yeah.
So what I would look to starchy vegetables a bit more, because sometimes you can get the fiber. Like if you have sweet potato, eat the skin. If you have even regular potato, just try to get the skin on. And often when you're preparing these carbohydrates, try to, if you're having them in the context of a meal, you're not eating you're not eating the carbohydrate alone. You're having it with some fat, some protein, some, you're getting it in with other nutrients, which is good. When you eat carbohydrates alone, like sometimes people will say, oh, I'm being so good and I got rid of the, fried egg sandwich that I was doing in the morning and I just have a plain bagel. I'm like, no, that's worse. That's worse.
Right.
And they're like, wait, what? I thought fried eggs were bad or something. But no, you want to include the carbohydrate along with the protein and the healthy fat. So that's the other thing. Now, one strategy that also can work, and I've tested this out with some of my clients, if you're having dinner and you can get into the habit of having vegetables first
Mm,
before having the carbohydrate,
right.
the vegetables will help slow down that carbohydrate response. So that's a little trick. It's a hack that seems to work quite well. Um, so that might be a good strategy at dinner when you come home. Like, get into the habit of having a nice big, salad first. Kind of do that at restaurants, right? Like, would you
Right.
like the salad?
Yeah.
But it can absolutely help slow that glucose spike. So some other strategies are a little bit less obvious, but sometimes the pace of how fast you're eating can be really
Hmm.
telling too. So sometimes if you're eating, really rapidly, like you get home from work and you're starving and you just kind of rifle through the food,
Right.
you're more likely to have those dips and those spikes. And what happens when your blood sugar jumps like that is that your body has to secrete insulin to take it down. And insulin is a fat hormone. So that's where you get into the fatty liver. And,
Hmm.
when the body can no longer figure out where to store the glucose, if it's not going to go to the liver and it's no longer going to go to the muscle, it's going to hang around as fat.
Right.
So eating slower, putting your fork down, talking to your daughter and your wife, like those types of things can be really meaningful when it comes to just trying to control that blood sugar.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
when it comes to the running aspect of it, like when you're on a long run and you're supposed to be taking in gels and chews and all these sweet things, you can't really, modify that. Because you still need the glucose at that time. I would worry less about that. You need to take in, 60, at least 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour when exercising with intensity. So honor that. Take the gels. There's not one that's better than another. So there are a few brands that are making, like there's a French brand that makes a product that is like a fruit puree with a little bit of olive oil.
Hmm.
It's really popular with the ultra crowd because they can usually add a little bit of fat when they're getting in their carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Not worth, I mean, not it's worth you trying something like that, to see if maybe that helps prevent that sort of dip and fall. If you can handle a little bit of healthy fat when you're on the run, it might be worth trying. So there are brands that easier to access because that company, it's just really hard to order from France.
Hmm.
For obvious reasons, it's really expensive. But um, so Spring Energy makes a couple that are like the same concept where they have fruit they don't use olive oil. I think they use like a coconut oil or something. But I would look into some of those brands that have a combination of fruit with a little bit of healthy fat. Muir Energy is another one. There's only a few that do it in the US, but I think that looking at those gels might be worthwhile for people who are in the pre-diabetes or diabetic category as, distance runners.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting. Yeah, you said a couple
mhm.
things that resonate with me. Eating slower is definitely something I can definitely do. I am the person who comes home and I'm like, oh, I just got home. Let's get it going. And
Yeah,
I rush, 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 rush with family still, but rushing so I can spend time with them. But I get home late sometimes. But yeah, I
yeah,
think eating slowly is something that many of us, especially if you live in New York, I mean, we rush all the time to get to the next thing. So taking time to actually eat and digest our food properly is something we can all can do, myself included. I agree with you on the salad thing. I definitely think that,
hmm,
and have been trying to get more salads in my diet, but I know that, you know, just looking at, I guess, some of the space I've been in socially, there's always a salad and not everyone's always partaking of it. We kind of even sometimes skip, even when we do like work events and whatever else, we always get a salad and that's always the last thing that's left after everything else has been consumed. There's always salad left over. So it's interesting that that's one of the things that can really help everyone to be a little better in terms of their
yep,
diet and
yep,
nutrition, but it's one thing that we always lack or leave on the table, no pun intended. So
yeah.
yeah, that's something that I can definitely do. I think others should definitely do as well. So I
I mean,
appreciate
and it's great because no matter what you're eating, it really does slow down the glucose entering the bloodstream.
Yeah,
That's what you're looking for. You're looking for flatter curves. Like you're not looking for these dips. I mean, you're these huge spikes and falls. You're just looking for like more steady blood sugar.
right, right,
Um,
right.
and and I think it can be done. I mean, it's tricky. Like the other suggestion too, you mentioned you get home late some nights. In that case, it could be, if dinner is really late, it could be that lunchtime is your biggest meal, and then when you come home, it's a smaller meal that doesn't have carbohydrates. It's mostly protein and vegetables. That's another strategy that you could try on those late nights.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I've also in my book I mentioned this too. The concept of intermittent fasting and just using
uh-huh.
the way to really regulate blood sugar too. I push everything further back in my regular day, so I don't eat lunch until like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, so that by the time I do get home at 8, I'm still within the 8 hour window of eating and not having too big of a gap between my resting and fasting times. Um,
Hmm.
but even still, getting home late is tough because it stresses the body in terms of what time I go to bed and whatever else. So I think that's something that many people also struggle with, the
Oh
late,
yeah.
which is clearly something that we as a society deal with. But all those things, like you're saying, can be tips that can help us to be better with our nutrition and our dieting. So, can we
Yeah.
actually do it? It's a question. I think we can.
Well, what's funny is a lot of a lot of making nutrition change comes down to the simple thing of like get it prepared the night before.
Mm,
Just have a plan in your mind, even if you don't like make everything. I'm not saying that you have to meal prep, but if
right,
you know, okay, tomorrow I have track, and then right after track, I have to get back for this Zoom meeting. And then, like, if you can sketch out I call it meal sketch, like just what the day is going to look like. What do you need to bring with you?
right,
What can you rely on at home? What do you have at home? I mean, I'm leaving town on Thursday, so I can't go grocery shopping. I barely have anything in the fridge, so it's I'm in that annoying phase. But it's just if you can look ahead for what the next day is gonna most likely be.
yeah,
Sometimes you can't always nail it, but I think that's a really good strategy too. Is just sort of sketch in your head. Okay, do I have what I need to be successful tomorrow?
mm-hmm,
I'm gonna have I'm gonna have a speed workout. I should put together my hydration with electrolytes and have it in the fridge so it's nice and cool. Like just those simple things can really, set you out the door with, that workout was stronger because I had electrolytes. Whereas if I just didn't do that the night before, the workout suffers and then it's a snowball effect. So, I think it sometimes has little to do with nutrition and more to do with the organization behind it. So.
yeah, definitely agree with that. Hey, what are your thoughts on mentioning electrolytes? Your thoughts on all these sports drinks that are out there now, right? You have some that are high sugar, some that are no sugar, but they're all energy drinks, like your Powerade, your Gatorades, and even some things that we add, like even water, but adding different things to those different waters, like LMNT and whatever else. All these different things we take
Mm.
during our runs and preparing for our races. Are there any risks that we have to think about when it comes to that, when it comes to blood sugar, or are they as effective as just having water by itself? Because many people ask me, I've been taking water, but I still get dehydrated. I've been taking water, but I still cramp up during my races. What are your thoughts on all these
Yeah.
different beverages that we take when we are training for these races?
Oh, you should have been at track today because I brought a bunch of scratch for everybody to have.
Um,
Uh, I think it's similar to the answer that I had before, where if it's related to a specific workout, right? Like let's say speed work, hill work, tempo, and long run are what I would call quality workouts for a runner, right? The rest of the runs are sort of easy or recovery.
right.
But on those quality runs, so again, speed or track, tempo, hill workout, and long runs, those require some probably some sports drink with some carbohydrate and electrolyte because you need to replenish.
Mm-hmm.
So Yes, they do have value. I like, I've been using Scratch since they came out 10 years ago. They've been it's actually more than 10 years now. They came out in 2013. So, I mean, yeah, 2013. So, I would say, find one that seems to work for you. What I don't like for athletes is that a lot of them have artificial sweeteners in them.
Mm.
And that just back to what Kate and I wrote the book for, it just doesn't make sense to me for an athlete. Like you're trying to intentionally get sugar at that specific time because we're trying to keep the blood sugar from dipping too far, right? So we just had this whole conversation about like trying to improve the carbohydrates you're eating, but when you're exercising, guess what? It's glucose. It's fruit, like it's
Yeah.
the simple quick sugars. You wouldn't have the same effect if you said, okay, let me get the quinoa in now. Number one, it's not practical. Number two, it would be trying to digest, and you'd have a belly full of fiber as you're trying to exercise. So the energy wouldn't be useful to you at that time. So there is intention behind these sugary sports drinks.
Right.
So, what I would say. Now, Scratch does a nice job because they basically just take fruit and kind of dehydrate it and then add salt and sugar. That's it. It's a simple product. Whereas, the Gatorades and stuff, they just have a lot more fun flavor, like fun color and stuff like that, which may end up being going by the wayside with what's going on with the current administration. So I think the nice thing about something like Scratch is that it's really easy on the belly too. So it's intended to be something that's going to affect that, get that glucose into your bloodstream to help you continue on. Back to what we were saying with like the gels for someone who's pre-diabetic, they might benefit from a little bit of healthy fat too to sort of steady that. But when you're having a long run or a significant workout, you just have to stay up with taking in that sugar. So if you have, say 25 or 30 grams of sugar every half hour, you've got to nail that consistently. If you were like, well, I feel good, I'm going to kind of skip it, you're going to bottom out. So it's a commitment. But again, remember your body is deserving of it because it's working really hard. So I wish we could have, the lower glycemic carbohydrates be useful for like marathoning distance and less, but it's just not the proper fuel for it because your body won't be able to, you'll have a bad belly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't like the ones that have artificial sweeteners. That makes no sense to me. And a lot of the ones that have artificial sweeteners have sugar alcohols, which anything that ends with OL, like erythritol or xylitol, that's going to just sit in the belly undigested and promotes gas and all sorts of chaos. So if you're out on an 18-mile run and you get to mile 12 and you've got like a belly full of gas, it's unnecessary, just I would save the sports drinks for sport, but have them have sugar and salt in them, sugar and electrolytes in them.
Mhm.
And then outside of sport, that's when get back to just basic water,
Right.
um, maybe, the night before a long run or a race, that's sometimes when I tell people to do have some electrolytes added to your water so you're sort of preloading them. But, it's pretty much like if it's hot, if it's really, unbearably hot and you know that you're going to go through them. Like Scratch makes one that now is just it's called everyday hydration and there's no sugar in it, but it's not sweet. It doesn't have any artificial sweeteners in it. So it's really well made. It just has all the electrolytes so it can help you hydrate without, taking in any artificial sweeteners. So
It's awesome. So you saying those who are not either training for, preparing for some kind of athletic event, or in the process of doing something like that, they should not be consuming these energy drinks like on their own? Because I think it's sometimes a fad. It's, oh, I'm gonna get a Gatorade with my pasta or get a Gatorade with my lunch.
yeah,
And people just drink it, like it's a regular
no,
beverage.
no. Yeah. absolutely not. Nope. Um, yeah, it's the same thing as drinking a soda or a juice.
Hmm.
You know, it's just something that should be few and far between. Like the problem with with liquid calories that are not associated to like exercise is that they're just so easy to down. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, you've got, I've calculated out how many teaspoons of sugar are in a lot of them, and some of them have like 14 teaspoons of sugar. I
Right.
mean, you wouldn't go and get a coffee and put 14 teaspoons of sugar in.
Right.
Like people would think you're crazy, but it's very socially acceptable to drink a Starbucks Frappuccino, right? Or a pre-made drink, and that's fatty liver. That's what's going to um cause that hemoglobin A1C to go up, because it's just consistently spiking. And you know, it's easier to get away with it when you're a kid, but
Right.
I always tell parents, like, if you can shift your kids away from that behavior early, you're gonna be really thankful, because even though they look like healthy and, and lean and they can burn through anything, it will catch up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I kind of blame, I guess, the marketing gurus
Hmm.
out there for putting those things out there, because you see so many people just consuming those things, even at like picnics or whatever else, where there's no activity happening. People are
Right.
just like downing these things like it's water, and um, not knowing the repercussions of it or the background behind how much sugar you're really actually intaking. It's a big,
Yeah.
especially for our kids. So
Yeah. And I think it's also, arguably addictive. So you end up doing it over and over and over because it's really easy to do.
yeah,
Um, I think when people are in that habit, I always like, I work with a coworker who, she drinks soda, and I'm working with her on not doing that. And, there's not a right way to approach it. It's like smoking cessation. Like, some people just walk away from it and don't turn back, but other people have to do it a certain way. Um, for her, we're really relying on seltzer water that's flavored, but flavored without artificial sweeteners.
yeah.
And then it's tough. This doesn't taste the same. No, of course it doesn't taste the same. It's not going to.
Right.
But I think it's a really no, it's it very much can improve someone's health significantly if you can get them away from sugary beverages not associated with exercise.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned salsa water. I know a number of people go back on this debate of, what's better, regular water or salsa water? But I know you just mentioned about the sweeteners being a factor. Is there a certain brand or a certain salsa water that you recommend that people should be drinking? Because I didn't even think about, I don't drink salsa water at all, but I didn't think about the sweeteners that are put into it, and that there can be a difference between those that are
Yeah,
natural and those that are artificial. So,
yeah. There's I mean, there's a few different ones. I like Hint. Hint makes water that's flavored, but again, without any, like, they take an essence of the fruit flavor.
mhm.
But there's no stevia or Splenda or any of that stuff in it, any erythritol or anything. I like Hint. They also make a sparkling. Hint makes a sparkling water. I also like Polar. I think
Yeah.
they have some really fun flavors too. Not club, not club water, or it's their seltzer water. And if you look, it'll say, like, water and natural, whatever flavor. Like, you will not see anything else. It's
Mhm.
just basically water. What's the other one? Is it I think makes them. A lot of companies make them now where they don't have the artificial sweeteners. If you taste it and it's sweet, that's the artificial sweetener. You don't want that. You don't want to have anything that's got the artificial sweeteners. But there's a pretty cool app now called Yuka. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Mhm.
It's Yuka, and um, you can hover if you're in the store, you can hover there's like a barcode scanner over the food's barcode, and it will rank it from 0 to 100 based on a bunch of different criteria, including like what are the ingredients. So if something has really good nutrition but it has a bunch of artificial sweeteners, it'll give it a lower score. So that's a great one for, back to the carbohydrate thing. If you're in the bread aisle or the cereal aisle, that's a really good way to make sure you're getting products that are, nutritionally sound and well made. So it will lower products if it has like a lot of processing. So it's not just the nutrition facts. It has a lot to do with what ingredients are in the product. So and they claim they're independent and they're not affiliated with any brand. And from what I've seen, that seems to be the case.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really when I went to the grocery store, I was looking after my dad with his surgery recently. He had a hip replacement, and I was in the cereal aisle, just like doing all of them, like all the cereals, and it's really eye opening because some of the ones that you thought were, very healthy are just, that's pure marketing. It's wild. So
that's wild. Coach, I appreciate you. Any final tips you want to share with the listeners about things we should be eating, should not be eating, or just any more tips you can share about healthy nutrition in today's day and age?
I think I like to come back to the, are you enjoying it? This food should be something to be enjoyed. And I know with athletes, a lot of times it's very like, how many grams of this and how many calories of that, and am I meeting my needs? And sometimes we can get lost in the nuance of it, but just come back to, I really like the taste of this, or it's farmers market season. Can I stop once a week and get tomatoes that are from a local farm as opposed to the stuff at the grocery store? Like, supporting local farmers is a really good thing to do right now. Food is, to me, that's why I went into it. It's one of life's greatest pleasures, and it should be. And I think if people have the mindset that what they're eating can be really, beneficial to them and in their athletic pursuits, or just, preventing chronic disease from worsening. We have what we have from our genetics, and we have to make peace with it, but we can also still make changes that prevent things getting worse. So yeah, I guess that's all I would say. Just enjoy it, have time with friends and family, and slow down a bit if you're able to.
No, that's good advice. I do think, like you said, enjoying it is probably the best advice you could give, especially for me, is thinking about the stress that can come with, is what I'm eating okay, and you get worrisome about what you're intaking and how it's going to affect you. But I do think making just healthier choices and having fun and enjoying whatever you're eating, whether it's Ezekiel bread or whatever it's going to be, and finding things that you actually do like, finding the seeds you actually do like, and applying those to your life. And like you said, putting a little more extra effort into preparing those things. So those are all great tips, Coach. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Really. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Fun. And listen, where can people reach out to you if they have more questions, if they want to be a part of BedStuy Flyers, or just kind of connect with you about more questions about their own personal diet and nutrition? How can they find you, talk to you, and connect with you?
So I am on Instagram, is at ThePlateCoach. And then also a website is ThePlateCoach.com, and there's a little part there where you can click to email me, basically. So if you want to reach out, that's a good way to do so. And then for BedStuy Flyers, the Instagram is BedStuy Flyers BedStuy Flyers, or the website is BedStuyFlyers.com, and Flyers is spelled Flyers. So sometimes people spell it wrong. But yeah, there it is. We welcome anybody. There's just a form on the website that you fill out, just so we have, emergency contact, should we need it. But that's all we ask. And yeah, we were there Tuesday mornings at the track. at Boys and Girls High School in Bed-Stuy, and then on Thursday mornings we're 6:30 at Putnam and Marcus Garvey. So for people that are in Brooklyn, if you want to come, just take a look at our Instagram or our website for more details.
Awesome. And Coach, every year you do a marathon series on nutrition. Are you doing that again this year?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Just talk
we're
to people about
on.
it.
What's that?
Yeah, just
Talk to
talk to
people
people
about
about
it.
it. Yeah.
So it's an 8 week class, every other Sunday night, and we're doing week 3 this coming Sunday. Um, uh, it's different topics. It's each week is a deeper dive into something. I think this week we're doing hydration and electrolytes. Like we're really getting specific about that. So last week was nutrition for the long run, and the week before was nutrition 101, like we sports nutrition 101. So each week is something that is related to the marathon, and then the later weeks are very specific to the New York City Marathon course. So we strategize based on the course elevation and highlights of the race course. So I have a small group this year, but it's great. It's really fun. So yeah, that starts always like just middle of July. So
Awesome. Can people still get
Mhm.
involved in that, or is it too late?
It's probably too late just because they'll have missed the first 2. I mean, I'd have to figure that out if I mean, I'd have to probably adjust the price of it and stuff for people that wanted to, if they were interested. I guess just let me know.
Okay.
So,
All right, cool.
yeah.
Awesome. I
Yep.
appreciate you so much, Coach. Thank you so much for being on the show again for the second
Yeah.
time. It does not go unnoticed. And I just want to say again, thank you for your support and all you've done for the Brooklyn community. You've been a pillar, and I wish you the best with all you're doing, all your endeavors, and I hope to see you very, very soon.
You will. You're going to be there next week.
I am going to be there next
See,
week. Yes.
see, he's going to say it, and now he has to show up because he told all of you that he's going to be there. No, just kidding.
No, it's true. Now I'm going to definitely be there. I'm going to post a picture of us next week at practice. It's happening.
See what we just did as a community. Like we just holding your feet to the fire. Thanks, everybody.
No problem. Both will see you next week. Continue to strive and be more alive in 25. And we'll see you next time. Peace.